Welcome to Rainbow Soul Vodcast, where our Soulstrology comes forward to help you manage your everyday life, with forecasts and deep dives on natal charts and queer perspectives on the planets, transits, and more. A group discussion about upcoming transits with tips on how to read these transits in your own chart. Hollis offers years of wisdom and natal chart knowledge with Bright Hawk's positive perspective and LeKross's inquiry. We offer the complete queer astrology experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soul. Please help us by subscribing, sharing, and commenting and reviewing. You can also learn where else Rainbow Soul is offered on our website at RainbowSoul.show.
Welcome to Rainbow Soul Soulstrology forecast for April 29th to May 5th. I still don't remember. I'm Hollis Taylor. I am a professional astrologer, even though I can't keep track of the days. I count on a calendar to do that, really. You can get readings with me. I do natal charts, synastry, death chart readings, which is like for someone that's already passed on. I take a look at their chart and try to help you understand their passing in a more deep way. And so you can book a private reading with me. Just go to my website. It's down below. You can also just Google me, Hollis Taylor, astrologer, or medium, and you'll find me. And
hi there. I'm Bright Hawk. I'm an artist and author, entrepreneur, musician, a storyteller. You can learn more about me at brighthawkproductions.com.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
I'm so glad we're both here. And I also want to make reference to LeKross, who's not here, which is quite unfortunate. We did all plan to get together, but I don't know, I guess his body had a different plan. And so unfortunately he's unable to make it. So we could just send him some healing vibes. I'm sure he'll be okay, but it's not anything like major, but he's quite uncomfortable right now. So let's just send him some vibes and hope that he gets through this okay. And he is going to edit this, so I appreciate that, LeKross. Thank you very much for doing that. And we appreciate LeKross's participation, and well, we just love LeKross. We like his perspective.
Absolutely. Adds a lot.
So let's take a moment to get present. Let's take a moment to reduce the stress in our bodies. Take a few deep breaths, and did you know when you blow out past anything left to blow out, you greatly reduce your stress and allow your body to calm down? Try that again. Take in a deep breath. Take in an extra breathe in. And then just breathe out until there's absolutely nothing else left. And I invite you to take this moment to feel your body present where you sit. Feel your feet on the floor, your back up against the seat, and just rest in that moment. Feel the stress and the anxiety just fall off of your body. And imagine yourself on a dark night, the beautiful moon waning after a beautiful full moon. It's still lighting up the sky and lighting up your world. You can feel the moon glow on your skin. And as you look at the sky is full of stars. As far as you can see, they just go on and on. And as you stare up at the stars, you recognize this super bright light in the sky. It's not twinkling like the other stars. And as you zoom in, you recognize that this is the planet Venus. And as she zooms in for you, taking you on a little journey with her, Venus reminds you of all the luxuries, the luxurious items, the feeling of having all of your needs met, to having all the money you need, maybe a little bit more, having that nice fluffy robe, those comfortable shoes, that beautiful bathtub, all those luxurious items that you really enjoy. They make you feel comfortable and loved. Comforting you. And Venus is also related to relationships, pulling forth the love and appreciation and your comfort with others. Feeling that comfort of knowing that person, feeling that person's love for you. Even if they're invisible and on the other side, still feel their love and feel that comfort. And take this moment to feel the feeling of being 100% satisfied, of having all your needs met, of being full in all you want and need. Fully comforted, loved, and held. And that is Venus in Taurus, holding you just like that. Now allow that feeling to integrate into your soul, feeling all of your needs met, feeling that comfort and that love, feeling loved. You probably feel a smile on your face, feeling held. And as Venus backs up into the sky, she leaves you with that feeling of being held and appreciated just as you are. Feeling that feeling of comfort, that feeling of love, and having all of your needs met. And take that feeling with you, integrate it into your soul, recognize that feeling, hold on to it. Allow it to integrate into your soul in the here and now. Feeling your feet on the floor. Feeling yourself in the seat. Wiggle your fingers and loosen your muscles and open your eyes and come back into the here and now of the beautiful love of Venus. Well done, Bright Hawk. Well done. It's beautiful, beautiful.
My pleasure, as ever. Nice journey there. That was beautiful. You really get the essence of Venus.
Yeah, and I feel like that's Venus in Taurus more than Venus in Libra, even though they're always related, you know, but that Venus in Taurus is very much about luxuries and having all your needs met and feeling very comfortable. And when Venus is in Taurus, it's stronger. So, yeah, so, you know, if you should recognize where your Venus is, and also look and where your Venus is in your chart, and also look where Taurus is in your chart. And that will give you a good idea of your love language. Like you kind of, like how you are pleased, what self-care, like some people, I know even for myself, it was like, how do I take care of myself? What feels good? I don't know. And it took me some time to figure that out, and sometimes it's still a mystery to me, but I do have Libra in the 12th house. And so you want to look and see where Taurus and Libra are in your chart, and where is your Venus, and you kind of mix up those energies. And so Taurus tends to be about luxury items and stuff, but whatever house it's in will tell you what. So like, I have Taurus in the house of relationships. And so I tend to like to treat my spouse and I to luxurious weekends. We're going to do that this weekend. And it's just very short, and it's just very sweet. And I, you know, that's where my luxurious comes in.
And luxurious for us is a yoga retreat, not a fancy something.
Oh yeah, because I'm Uranus.
It's going to be outside, or it's going to be something good for us, you know.
Oh yeah, luxurious for me is always very earthy, so it'd have to be super healthy food, healthy food, and lots of healthy things that help you feel really good. Yeah, so that's.
So if you're not familiar, there is a book that's been written called the 5 Languages of Love, I believe. I think that's the title. And so really worth looking up. Even if you don't read the book and you just read a little summary on the internet, it'll give you a real insight into how we are not all the same. And you will definitely recognize there are some people where gifts are really important. And gift giving is their language.
Yeah.
And they're really good at giving thoughtful gifts, and they really hope and expect sometimes to get really thoughtful gifts. Other people, that would be lost on them. Other people really want time. They really want quality time with their partner. Show me through the fact that you can sit with me and we can do quality things together. Other people, it's going to be words. I need to hear words of kindness and love and encouragement and whatever it is for you, but it's about words. So, and there's a few more. Service, acts of service. You show me through your acts of kindness and all the things that you do for me, that you love me, that kind of thing.
Venus and Virgo.
Right, and so that's what I was going to do. We should do a quick thing. And the words would be air signs. Generally, yeah.
Yeah, I think words would probably be air signs, but
and maybe
it could also be like Leo, because Leo likes to be Leo, I think it just depends on the sign. Yeah, Leo likes a lot of praise. So, so if I went around the whole thing, so like Venus, in Venus in Aries would be more like physical action, probably. Could probably even be touch. I just want to make sure I get to all of them. So Venus in Aries would definitely be like touch and stuff like that. And it may even be like, I want to exercise with you, baby. Could absolutely be something like that. Especially because it will also depend on Venus's conversation in the chart. Okay. And so if you're looking at your partner's chart or even your chart, and it's, got lines going to it, and it's always going to be tied back to Taurus and what house that is in, right? Okay. And Libra and what house is that in? So it's kind of a mixture of things, but those are the basics of it. So Aries is very physical, and it's probably very touch oriented or exercise oriented.
Right. So touch is one of the 5 languages of love, of course.
That's another language. And then the next sign is Taurus. So Taurus is going to be luxurious things. It could be food. It could be, luxurious gifts, or, but it probably will be luxurious things, even if it's like luxurious service, especially like if their Venus is related somehow to Virgo or something. And then as we go on in Gemini, that's going to be about words of praise, probably also be about variety. The Gemini will appreciate genuine appreciation, in that they'll appreciate like coming from a genuine gift or a genuine thoughtful, hey, I thought you might like this show, so I took you to it. Or I thought you might like it if I made you a cup of coffee. And all of those are different, like acts of service or a physical gift. But Venus and Gemini, they're probably going to like a good variety of things. Now, Venus in Cancer, they're going to really love making home with you. That's really going to be their love language. They're going to really love decorating with you or making home with you. Entertaining, yes.
Entertaining in the home, of course.
Yeah, so they're going to be a Netflix type of night. They're going to want to like Netflix and snuggle type of thing. And then when we move more into Leo, as I said, yes, it will be like words of praise. It will also be recognition, recognizing them, appreciating them for what they give. Venus in Leo is going to need to be seen and appreciated. And sort of, I don't want to say pedestal, but you probably they're going to want to be praised, and that's going to be the way to speaking their love language. And then on to Virgo. Like I said, acts of service, Venus and Virgo. You're going to love having someone make you dinner, or even if they do something like clean your house, you're going to be like, wow, thanks, right? Okay, that's going to be a total Venus and Virgo thing. And then there's going to be Virgo, and then we got Libra. So Libra is going to be all about cooperation. They're going to want to feel like you're a partner. Gemini might feel this way too, where they want to feel like you're a partner, like you're in it with them. Quality time.
Acts of service.
Yeah, but they just going to want to feel like you're in it with them in a partnership type of way. And so that might be flavored by what house it's in, or what other signs are involved and what aspects, what other planets are in the conversation. And then as we move on from Libra, we get to Scorpio. It's probably going to be sexual. That's Venus in Scorpio is probably going to be a sexual language, where people are going to want to have some sort of, like, if you don't have sex with them, they may take that very personally. Okay. And sometimes if Scorpio is very strong in a person's chart, that will be true for them. Sometimes, not all the time. It depends, but yeah. And then after Scorpio
Venus
is Sag. they're going to be very playful and adventurous. So they're going to want to go on adventures with you. That's going to be their love language, trying new things, doing fun things together. They're going to want to have a good time. And how that looks will be variable, depend on what house it's in and what other conversations Venus is in. And it will depend on if they want to, go for an adventure out in the woods, or go for an adventure doing something else, playing a game, or they're those kinds of people that are going to want to do fun things. And then Capricorn, they're going to want structure to your love. I know that seems weird, but no, they're going to want you to give
commit to date night.
Yeah, commit to date night, or even like showing up every morning to give them a kiss. Those kinds of things. If you do the kiss every single morning, Gemini is going to start feeling like it's a habit and it may not be real. But the Capricorn's going to be like, oh, you really love me because you show up every morning at 9 a.m. with a kiss. You see? So that's Capricorn. They love it. They love it. And they love that structure. They love that everyday thing. And then where do we go next? Oh, okay. And then we're going to, we just did Capricorn, and then we're going to Aquarius. And so then Aquarius is very much like Venus in Aquarius is going to be, just for a real simple sake, they're going to want someone that gives them space. And I know that seems weird, but someone that's like, oh, I travel for business, honey. I can't be with you every single day. Sometimes Aquariuses will really love that. They'll love having their own space. They'll be like, oh, but you'll be back on Friday. Yeah, we'll do the weekend together. Okay, great. So it's not that they don't want to spend time with you. They just want to feel like they have their own freedom and their own ability to do things, okay? So sometimes when Aquarians struggle with relationships, I try to remind them that they'll be happier if they have space in the relationship. And Pisces, well, Pisces are going to really love a very deeply emotional person, probably spiritual too. So they're going to want that person to be emotional and spiritual and open-minded. And so Pisces is going to really enjoy deep conversations, and if they have the freedom to be emotional and wet, if you will. They're little fishies. They like to be wet, and so if you're always like, gosh, stop being so emotional, Capricorn. Like Capricorns could sometimes, and Virgos can sometimes be a little like, dry it up, man. Okay, and Pisces is not gonna like that. Okay, so it's just gonna depend. With Venus in Pisces, it's gonna be. That's their love language. Okay. So that's just a quick go through. Of course, as I mentioned several times, it depends on the houses and the rest of the conversation. Because it also, for some people, will depend on their Mars placement as well. Their Mars placement will speak to them as well, especially like in more like long-term relationships. I also feel that there's other parts of the relationship, like the moon, and like it depends on if the person is more masculine, if their chart is more masculine or feminine centered. And that's all a very interesting conversation, and that's what synastry readings are for. Okay.
Yeah, so if you're ever in a relationship or starting a relationship and wanting to get some insight, a synastry chart reading is a really useful thing to have. It can really show you where the work is going to be, where the synastry is, where it's complementary, and
it'll also tell you like past lives together.
It's fascinating.
Tell you future lives together.
Yeah.
It'll tell you, where your commitment is and things like that. Okay, so it's a really special. Synastry readings are really helpful if you're married or anything.
Part of what led to Hollis and I being together, I have to say, astrology had a wonderful effect on us when it came to trying to understand.
Well, I couldn't understand why I couldn't stop thinking about her. So I just did her birth chart for her as a gift. Seemed like an obvious answer to me, because if I had her birth chart, then I could figure out why I was so attracted to her. And then I was like, oh, okay. So we have numerous things that put us together like that, but my Saturn on her moon, which is in her moon is in a yod, all of that, my Saturn's up there with her moon. It's sort of like destined. We're destined to be
a
together.
lot of complementary touch points in our chart.
Right.
So you can find out and get her if you want to find out, if you're trying to figure it out and you're like, gosh, it'd be nice to have a outside perspective on, am I imagining this or whatever.
Yeah,
It's a great thing to give
It
yourself.
will even show trauma bonds. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So if you're
All
worried
right, well,
about
let's
that,
get to the week, huh?
yeah. Well, all this Venus energy. Oh shoot. All right, I gotta share the screen. It would be helpful. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's definitely Mercury retrograde right now while we're recording this. Mercury is just stationing to go direct. But I don't know, for me, it doesn't matter if it's going backwards or if it's stationing or whatever. Like, somehow I just always feel like, so, okay.
And of course, Mercury rules Virgo.
Right.
And so.
And I'm a Virgo sun. So.
Yeah, and I'm a Virgo rising. So, but I have Mercury retrograde in my chart.
Yeah,
so.
it's you're still affected, but it's more just like you skip up on your words or something.
Yeah. Or
for me,
have to do things multiple times.
And then plus right now, I also happen to know that today the full moon is on my north node, and Uranus and Jupiter are on my south node. So I'm having a lot of experiences right now. So please excuse me. I am aware of it. What does that mean for me? Well, I don't know yet. I assume that Jupiter and Uranus will let it be known soon. Hopefully it's like the end of perimenopause or something.
That would be great.
Okay. So, Sun in Taurus, as that's been, this week, will sort of carry over. We still have Uranus and Jupiter conjunct. They're only 1 degree apart, still in Taurus. So that Taurus energy is really heavy, really strong. And, the Sun is right behind them. But, and I guess, I'm not sure, I guess it's going to light them up at some point later this month, but hopefully they'll be a little further apart from each other. But Uranus and Jupiter are together, so if you're feeling like you're being pushed in a certain direction, you're having awakenings, maybe things are hard, maybe things are easier, maybe you've gotten some gifts, or something else is happening for you, especially in the finance department, or travel, and those kinds of things are really important, because they're gifts. So you should recognize them. I always try to thank Jupiter for those kinds of things. Thank you, Jupiter. And, just recognize that Uranus-Jupiter conjunct is definitely still happening. Now, Venus just entered Taurus. It looks like it's on this day pretty much, on Monday. And it's just entering Taurus. And so that's why we did this little meditation with with the Venus and Taurus, is that Venus, is very much about money, and it's very much about the items that you buy and how you spend your money and how you make your money. And, we all need money to get by. And this is more about luxurious things. So it could be a gift, actually. It could be beautiful things happening to you. Venus and Taurus. And I think that's a big energy. I also noticed that Uranus Jupiter is in a trine to the moon, Bright Hawk.
It absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
So the moon is waning. Obviously, we had a full moon the week prior, and so there's definitely really pronounced energy trine between Jupiter Uranus. And that, I think that bodes well. When Capricorn is when the moon is in Capricorn, it is, I believe it's in its detriment, because it's like the opposite side of the chart from Cancer. And Cancer is where the moon is at home. So when it's in Capricorn, it's going to answer to Saturn, and it's going to be, Capricorn is going to be a Capricorn moon is going to be task oriented, not goal oriented, task oriented. Get shit done. That's Capricorn.
That's happening right now. Yep.
You know, so um, the challenge is that it's in a square to Chiron, Venus, Mercury, um, up there at the top of the chart, but it's also in a sextile to the Neptune Mars energy. So a little bit of challenge, a little bit of blessing for sure. And in the Jupiter Uranus category, it's definitely nice.
I think if you're not resisting change, it will go better.
Absolutely. This is 100% one of those times in life where go with the flow, or your resistance will lead to you creating your own
Because
suffering.
Jupiter and Uranus are about big changes anyway, revolutionizing things, changing the way you do things, seeing things a new way, new belief systems. It's in a trine to the moon, which is very task-oriented. So it might very much be like, get this crap done so you don't have to worry about it anymore. I know that's where I'm at right now, but
Right.
maybe you'll be there in the next day or so.
And the fact that Jupiter and Uranus are in Taurus, which of course we've been talking about it all month, it's a super powerful thing. Don't get stuck in Taurus stubbornness and fixed energy. Definitely embrace once the bull's made up its mind, your goals are as good as done because you can see them. This is mine. Boom, and you're just going to go for it.
It's a little bit of a T-square there with that Capricorn moon. That makes me think that maybe some of the tasks you've been procrastinating them. If you didn't know, procrastination is a sign of trauma from your history, and that's in relation to the nodes and what they've been clearing in the last month or so, working on moving your trauma forward. And with that Capricorn moon being task oriented, I feel like it's going to be like, just get all of this stuff done that you procrastinated, and you probably procrastinated it. Like, I know even myself, like I didn't repot my plants and stupid stuff like that, and I'm getting it done. And so you're probably feeling that. Okay, you're probably feeling that in the vibe. Like, I just need to get these things done, especially as Mercury stations to go direct and starts going direct. It starts saying, okay, get it all done because we're about to really take off here. And that's kind of what Mercury is saying on that day, because it's just stationing to go direct.
Yeah, and Mercury's going to be moving really slowly at first.
Mm-hmm.
When from the 25th, it's been sitting at 16 degrees and barely moved at all. Then it's going to start to finally move a little bit more. Now, the shadow period, this is where, so we talk about the shadow period on either side of a Mercury retrograde as the Mercury's going over the ground that it's already covered until it gets to 27, which is where it started its retrograde. So that goes on until May 13th. So those of you who have Mercury strong Mercury, like Virgo, anything Virgo is going to have Mercury as a ruler.
Gemini too.
And Gemini, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and those of us who have Mercury retrograde, you're going to feel this shift back to this swing, and it's subtle, but you definitely, I think most people, in this household at any rate, we can definitely say we're very aware of it when it goes into retrograde and when it's coming out.
I'll tell you what's funny, Bright Hawk, is that almost every time when the Mercury's going in or out of retrograde, you usually break a glass or something.
You
break something
said that, and I totally did this week. Completely. Oh, wow.
It's so weird.
I've never noticed it, but Hollis notices it. Okay. Wow.
And because, and we'll have a mild time communicating, which is not normal for us. So we'll start to struggle, like, understanding each other. I noticed that we've gotten better with it. So instead of getting frustrated with it, we're like, say that again. Or I'll go, back up. Where did that come from? And she, oh, right. I didn't include the premise to that. Right. Okay. And then we can better understand each other. And instead of getting mad, we instead just laugh it off. And, it is what it is. And we get a chance to hold space for each other, to better improve our communication and learn how to like sort of build our resilient bone against communication breakdown. So therefore strengthening us as a couple, because communication is absolutely necessary. So if you find yourself struggling with communication in your household, just try to make people aware that when Mercury is retrograde and you start noticing and you're like, yeah, every time Mercury goes retrograde, we get frustrated with each other because we can't understand each other. And so instead, maybe educate that person, and then maybe get that person on board to slow down and take the time out. Okay, so especially regardless of whether your Mercury is retrograde in your chart or not, it seems like when Mercury is slowing down to station to go direct or slowing down to go backwards, it seems like everybody is affected. That's what I would say. In my opinion, and what I've noticed, almost everybody is affected for those few days, and it doesn't have to be a big deal, And Mercury retrograde also, before it begins, like maybe a month or so before it happens, you might want to get your car serviced. If there was something that was waiting to be serviced, then is the time. Okay. Like if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'll ever fix that. Oh, my brakes are squeaking, blah, 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 whatever it is, take care of it. Okay. Because Mercury rules communication and transportation, also rules computers, because computers are a form of communication. So, get your computer backed up or whatever. Okay. But it's in a T-square there. Now, T-squares are rectifiable and solvable. And that's why I think the task orientation is like teaching you, see, don't procrastinate this. Just take care of it. Just get it done. And then it's not dangling over your head. And I think it's taken me years to learn that. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that procrastinate certain things. And then I always regret procrastinating it. So maybe that's what this is about. Maybe you'll learn. It'll be one of those times that you have a lesson that, okay, I need to not procrastinate this and just get it over with. Okay. We all have things we don't want to do. My 6-year-old grandson was telling me how he hated to clean his room. And I was like, he wanted to live here in Colorado. I was like, you don't want to move here, man. We have an Airbnb. We clean every day. So, anyway,
there's no getting out of. There is a certain amount of cleaning we all have to do.
Everybody has to do it. Yep. And he was just funny. He told his dad he was going to run to Colorado.
He's
thought it was
7,
hilarious.
you guys.
Yeah, he's a little kid. He's little. He's little. Yeah. Anyway, so
the fascinating thing, and I'll just say this in generically as much as I can. He's at that moment. It's kind of Taurian, frankly. He's at that moment as a young person where he needs to get it, where attitude is everything. And you make your own misery if you come into life with a bad attitude. If you approach every task with a terrible attitude, it's going to be a terrible time.
Well, right now,
change your attitude and go, okay, if I get this done, then good things happen.
Right now, his transit that's happening right now, though, to be fair, is that Uranus and Jupiter are directly opposite of his Jupiter. So, yeah, he has big life lessons to learn right now. So, I'm just going to say astrology applies to children. If you ever wondered why all of a sudden your kid's having trouble with insert problem here, I bet you it's in their chart. I bet you it's in their chart. And you should absolutely have a birth chart for any child that you ever have to deal with. Because I feel like it helps you understand better what they need and what is a better way to help that kid, right? Okay, so like my grandson's a Capricorn, so I know he needs structure. So my son and I were talking about trying to help make like a chore chart where he has to check things off, because that would help him feel more organized. Okay, so that could be a really special thing. That's really helpful. So just going to say, if you have a kid, you should have their chart. You should know what their chart is. On this day, on Tuesday, April 30th, now at this point, Venus is getting comfortable in Taurus. It's happy to be home there. And, but it is in a square to the moon on this day. So I think it's just probably the moon's in Aquarius. What's the moon in Aquarius, Bright Hawk?
The moon in Aquarius, well, let's start with the morning. So when the day begins, the moon is in Capricorn. And I've been telling you guys about the void of course moon. So when the moon is at the very end of a sign and no longer has certain Ptolemaic aspects, then it's considered a void of course moon. Now, we've been doing this for the last, I don't know, couple months. I think I've been doing the void of course moon. And most of the time, it's about 2 hours, the last 2 hours before this moon crosses over into another sign. So when you think about Capricorn, you think Saturn, you think fixed. No, sorry,
not fixed.
it's cardinal.
It's cardinal.
It's cardinal Earth. And it's about to go into Aquarius, which is fixed air, right? So from cardinal Earth to fixed air. You take a breath, right? You have a moment. Now the funny part is this week demonstrates that void of course moons are variable. They're not always 2 hours. In this case, it's 12 minutes, 13 minutes,
14.
14 minutes.
14.
So not a huge window there. And it happens in the morning, depending on where you are. We put it in mountain time because we live in Colorado. And then it goes into Aquarius. And as it goes into Aquarius, it conjuncts Pluto. Then it squares the Sun and Venus, and it's in a sextile to Neptune and Mars. So, and if you're joining us for the first time, what does it mean when the moon goes void of course? So when it's at the end of the sign, it's weak. The moon is not strong. And so many people will say, when it's a void of course moon, it's time to chillax. It's time to self-care, time to breathe, meditate, do whatever it is that you
only
need
get
to
15
do.
minutes on Tuesday, though.
So it's a short window. But stay tuned. You'll see that's not the case the next time. It's kind of funny. I was like, wow, this is really different. So when the moon goes into Aquarius, then it is answering to Uranus. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It's fixed air. And Uranus, of course, is partying with Jupiter. And it's big. It's big. Potentially surprise a minute. Uranus can be disruptive for sure, but it can also be well, you weren't getting around to it, so boom, I'm going to help you get there, and knocks you. Sometimes it feels like it's knocking you off your path, but Hollis would say it's knocking you onto your path. It's knocking you off of whatever it is that you're not supposed to be, you no longer need to continue doing.
Yeah, I fully believe that Uranus is meant to put you on your path. I'm not the only astrologer to believe that. I actually got that from Nadia Shaw.
Yeah. Yeah, we know it's a pot stirring, change it up.
But it tends to be a life path creator. It tends to create your life path, even if whatever you're going through is hard. I was just listening to a talk the other day by Michael Beckwith about when things are hard, what do we do with that? Like it sucks. Like, we want to be like, why me? Oh, that sucks, right? Okay, I just had one of those days. And that's why I was listening to him. And so then he says, but it's not about that. And that's not really the best energy to be in. Instead, when that's happening, instead of engaging in that energy of why me and, oh, this is so terrible, instead try to shift your perspective to say, what is this building in me? What is this bringing forth out of me? What is trying to be expressed in me? Is it strength? Is it resilience? Is it understanding? Is it cooperation, right? Okay. So for me, it was a health thing. It was like, well, maybe I'm supposed to build a resilience bone against uncomfortable health situations for my old age. Maybe this is going to help me live into my old age. So I best get used to it or something. I don't know. And so I just started saying, well, maybe those are the possibilities. So in those hard moments, it's preparing you for something amazing later in life, okay? So those are the kinds of things that that you might want to consider. Like, I would be honored to be a centurion, which is a person that's 100 or older. I think I would enjoy it, and I would be honored by it, okay? I'm not sure I want to let Nadia Shaw says she wants to live till she's like 150, I think. I'd be okay with 100-ish, like 102 or 105 or something like that. I'd be interested in that, just to see that perspective, because I've always been sort of fascinated by those people that are, when I have talked to them. And, you know, so maybe that's what this is about. Maybe the universe hears me and says, okay, we're going to prepare you. Okay, maybe that's what's happening, okay? Or maybe it's preparing me for something else. I don't know. But I want to believe that it's preparing me for something, not just beating me up to beat me up, okay? I mean, there's two different beliefs you can choose. And it's really about belief, my friends. And so you can choose to believe that it's just beating you up to beat you up. And that's a sucky place to be. And it doesn't really help. And most of the time, it just makes things worse. Or you can choose to believe something else, that this is building up my resilient bone and I'm just going to get better at dealing with these kinds of moments. Wham! That feels better to me than being the victim. Okay? And so belief is belief. And frankly, Jupiter rules belief. So Jupiter and Uranus right now, that combination is probably going to push you into revolutionary thought. Okay. And I thought it was fascinating. I'm reading a book by Judith Hill. She's a famous astrologer. She's very well known. And she is saying that the spiritual types, people that have done a lot of work, personal work, a lot of processing, people that are very connected to their spirituality and to their life purpose and things like that, they will actually suffer less during transits. So during certain transits, they will actually sort of, traverse it a little bit smoother.
Weather the storm.
Yeah, they'll weather the storm a little bit better because of their perspective. And I was like, well, isn't that fascinating? Yeah. And so she was saying that, like, when you resist those transits, that's when it gets uncomfortable. And then she makes a reference back to the Buddha's description of suffering, which is when we resist what is not. So if we don't have something and we hate that, that's what creates our suffering. Instead, to love what we have and where we're at now in our journey, whatever's going on in our journey in the now is acceptance, and that's how you reduce your suffering. Okay, so I appreciate that perspective. That works for me. It's taken me a long time to get there. I would not say it was overnight. Not. Okay, so if you can embrace that, that's really going to help you. Just going to say, and with Jupiter Uranus conjunct and these little squares and stuff like that happening, it could very much be your resilient bone getting built up. So on this day, on Wednesday, we have more of, that Taurus energy working on you. So if you're noticing your finances or dealing with your finances or whatever, that's what's supposed to be going on right now. Managing it, hopefully in a good way. And with all of the squares, the square to Pluto, Venus square to Pluto, that's a perfect square on this day. So with Pluto still in Aquarius, and it's still going direct, it just makes me think about changing maybe the way you do your finances, or having an awakening or an awareness about it.
Yeah, an awakening or awareness, because you have an Aquarius moon opposite its rulership. So there could be a, hey, is everything okay? Are you getting on with that? You said you were going to do that. How do you feel about it? Yeah, because the moon is all about your feelings, right? So, what's your gut telling you?
Right. And I think it's I say it's kind of quiet, but there's always that Uranus-Jupiter conjunction going on. But I feel like there's something brewing in that conjunction, or sort of manifesting, or as Michael Beckwith would say, being expressed. Something is coming up during this time,
Seeking to
emerge, or it's probably already sought to emerge and is emerging now during this time. But otherwise, it's pretty quiet. And because on this day we get a little bit louder with the yod pointing at the south node, maybe helping us turn around and go, wow, look at how far I've come. Wow, I've changed a lot, right? Okay. Especially with the south node looking back from Saturn in Pisces, which is our structure and how we feel about it, because Pisces is all about feelings, and the sun in Taurus, which is all about our direction and where we're going, and looking back. I wouldn't be surprised if on Thursday you find yourself looking back and saying, I've done this. I'm so glad I've moved on from that. Or maybe you're like, I am going to move on from that. That is old business. Okay. That's old crap. I want to let that trauma go. I'm moving forward from it. And so whatever was seeking to be expressed is being expressed, and then therefore is pulling you forward instead of backwards, because there's a yod there pointing at the south node.
There certainly is.
Yep.
There certainly is. I just was looking at the deck and realized I made a little mistake about the Aquarius moon void.
Oh.
Okay, so remember how we had a 13-minute void of course moon? This time we have a 9.5 hour. It should say 1:52 p.m. My apologies.
Okay.
So literally from like 4:30 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
The next day.
No, the same day.
On Thursday. Okay, Thursday.
Right.
So Thursday, early in the day, take a break.
Yeah, if you can take Thursday morning off. Now, of course, adjust for whatever. This is in mountain time. Adjust as needed for wherever you live. But this is that example I was giving where, you need to take a minute before you go into the next thing. So when the moon is in Aquarius, it's in fixed air, and now it's going to go into mutable water. From the air into the water is a very different energy, isn't it? And so into Pisces, the moon in Pisces, of course, is going to answer to Neptune. And Neptune has been in its residence for all of this year. Neptune has been hanging out in Pisces. Yeah. So when the moon is in Pisces, and of course Pisces is it's an ocean of emotion, I like to say, and very deep, very, when Pisces is in its strength, it's very spiritual and evolutionary in its spirituality. It's all about the love. In its detriment, it's victimhood. So Pisces moon is definitely going to be feeling a lot, and it's in a sextile to Venus, so maybe you're feeling amorous. Maybe it's all about love. And yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So I think this day, Thursday, you're really going to be feeling whatever that Uranus Saturn has pulled out of you. It's really going to be being expressed really on that day. Like you're going to see the positive of, it looks like the Thursday and Friday, because the yod continues. Looks like the moon is going to now fill that yod, maybe bring some feelings about it, some inspiration, really strengthening the yod on Friday, on May 3rd. I really feel like this is really you looking back and recognizing how far you've come, or what you've changed, or what you are changing now, and how that sets you forward. Or even like recognizing past life patterns, like, I think something happened to me in a past life because I keep doing this thing, and I wonder if I could just like shed that and move on from that and heal that. Yes, you can heal things in this lifetime from past lifetimes. And I do work with that in the Akashic records. So, that is important, because there are past life things that come up that need to be expressed and need to be healed or fixed or taken care of somehow. Do you have anything you wanted to say about that moon conjunct Saturn there?
Just that it's conjunct Saturn. It's going to be a crescent moon at this point. You can see it's
Mm.
getting close to the sun, and so that'll be where the new moon is. And of course, it's still in a sextile to Jupiter, Uranus, so at that, loving energy. Um, then the fact that it's conjuncting Saturn and Pisces makes me think of um, what actions do you need to take? Because of course we're still very action oriented because we have, and the Mars and Neptune is, they've been in a conjunction for most of the month, and Mars is action, Neptune is dreams. So we have these themes that pop up. So and Saturn is always, what are you doing about it? How are you making it happen? Do the work, do the work, do the work. Saturn is all about constraint and structure and, the father energy and authority. And so when the moon is, having a conversation with Saturn, it's, it's still
And
that energy about what are you going to do about it.
looks like I was right. Okay. So this week Pluto also goes retrograde. So that's kind of an important thing there.
Oh,
Pluto's going retrograde
catch.
there, and it's in a sextile to Mars at that time. So this could Pluto Pluto retrograde is pretty powerful because first of all it's in Aquarius right now. So it's going to have us reflecting on things. Now, people hear retrograde and they get scared regardless of what planet it is. There's nothing to be afraid of with the planets ever, okay? It's more about being prepared and being open to the expression than resisting what's coming, okay? And so Pluto being retrograde is going to help us reflect on our own karma, especially if you can see here, it's got a minor aspect to Saturn, and then plus the moon is with Saturn, which makes me think about karmic feelings around karma, your emotions and cycles around karma, and with Pluto also going retrograde on that day, I feel like this later in the week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're probably going to feel Pluto go backwards. It's a very slow transit. Pluto's like, yeah, Pluto's so slow, and so you don't feel the transits like you do Mercury. Mercury is like, right? Okay, you're like, whoa, right? Okay, because Mercury's a fast-moving planet, but Pluto is very slow, so you may not note it as much, but what you will notice is that you might have some inner reflection about power, about control, about your relationship with power and control, your relationship with others in power and control, the way the collective is working. You might even find yourself struggling with how the collective is working, especially since it's in a square to Venus. It might be like, I don't know about this capitalism thing. There's something wrong with capitalism. It's not really, it's got to be a better way to do it. Okay, and so that's Pluto retrograde. It could make things unfortunate for you. It can sometimes make things uncomfortable, all right, where, I've had conversations with people that are using their spiritual gifts, for instance, and they're like, I want to do this. I need to pay my bills, but I don't want to charge for my gift. Is that wrong? Well, I would say no, because, well, we pay plumbers to do their gift, and we pay a massage artist to do their gift. And so it might be some internal like that, power, control, and money, because it's in a square to Venus and Taurus. But I think there is a level in which you can go. You can find a medium ground where you're charging enough to pay your bills and fulfill your needs, and enough that the other person can afford it, that it can be afforded by the average human being. Okay, and I think that that's kind of the hard balance to strike, but that's just an example of money, and there could be other struggles around money, power, and control, especially in regards to the collective, to the system, to capitalism, because Aquarius rules capitalism. Okay, and Pluto is on its way back to Capricorn for this fall, which is going to be a huge awakening for the United States, because it's going to go back and shake up our system one last time this fall. So if you have been wondering about this fall's election, yeah. So when Pluto is going backwards, it's going to shake things up. Try not to be nervous about it. Just try to understand that what's happening has a bigger impact, and that the universe is kind and loving, and that what is unfolding is meant to unfold. Maybe we're to learn something from this. So even in the uncomfortable moments, even if the election doesn't turn out the way you wanted it to, just be aware that, it could have a bigger meaning. It could have some sort of resilience that needs to get built up. So as Pluto goes backwards, I'm sure we're going to be reflecting on what we've made mistakes on, how the power and control has been screwed up, and how we might need to change that. So, because retrograde is really an inner reflection. And I think I've already noticed it on the news. There was someone talking about how our system seems to be kind of broke and slow moving on trials and things like that. Like, it just takes a really long time. And if you've ever been involved in the court system, you're like, why does this take so long, right? And I agree. I think it's broke. And so I think that that's kind of like Pluto going backwards, saying, what's wrong with our system and what can we do to make it better? And that's really what Pluto's about. That's why it's there. That's why it's doing its work. It's a very slow unfolding, so it will take some time as Pluto starts to go retrograde. But it is going retrograde this week, so you'll feel it probably most of the week. And it will be very slow and sort of in the background. Okay? Unless, of course, Pluto, you should look and see, what do you have at 1-2 degrees Aquarius? What is at 1 or 2 degrees Aquarius? Anything? Do you have anything at 1 or 2 degrees Aquarius? Or even directly across the sky? So that would be 1 or 2 degrees the moon, Leo. So that would be 1 or 2 degrees Leo. If you have something around 0, 1 or 2 degrees Leo, you want to be paying attention to that, because Pluto is opposite in the sky from you. Okay. And it would also be squaring. It would be squaring Aries. So that's like 1-2 degrees in Aries, 1-2 degrees in Libra. And so, if it's squaring, if you have any planets at there, you're going to feel it more strong than the other person. Okay. So if you have something at 0, 1, 2 degrees Aquarius, Leo, Aries, or Libra. Aries and Libra, it will be easier for you to find a solution. There is a solution. If it's in Leo, you're going to have to find balance. Okay? So you're going to seek balance. If it's in Aquarius, just accept the change. Whatever's happening, that's going to be your biggest challenge, is accepting the change. Okay? So whatever it is, depends on what house it's in, and what other aspects those planets are in your natal chart. Of course, you can come get a reading with me, and I'll try to help you unfold it. Okay?
Always a good thing to do.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about that Pluto retrograde, because It's kind of important this week. So, okay. And I think Saturday we'll still be feeling that Pluto retrograde. I think that's going to dominate our week.
That'll be the weekend for sure. That'll dominate the weekend, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then the moon goes from Pisces into Aries, and it'll go void on Saturday afternoon. So if Saturday afternoon you're like, I just need to take a nap. I just need to lay on the couch and watch TV. I just need to sit under this tree. Do it. Take the time. It'll go void, of course, from 2:06 to 3:41. So this time it's, a little more than an hour and a half. And now it steps back into Aries. Of course, Aries is cardinal fire, and the ruler of Aries is Mars. So it's now, interestingly, going to conjunct Neptune and Mars. And so, yeah, they're having a very close conversation as it crosses over from the water into the fire. Makes me think of salamanders, for sure.
Makes me think of steam.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a salamander literally crawl out of the fire. That was in a wet log or something. And
Wow.
you're just like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
And it was like, doo-doo-doo. Salamander energy, right? So,
Right.
Aries moon. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to the new moon, the waning crescent. And when the moon is in Aries, it's initiative. Remember, the moon is all about how we feel. And in Aries, Aries is all about, let's go, let's get it done. I have this great idea. Now, Aries may not see their ideas through, but Aries are definitely great initiators, getting everybody to rally for a cause.
Getting everyone out of the gate, essentially.
Yeah, seeing how to be innovative in a way that everybody goes, wow, that's really good.
Great ideas.
They are great leaders that way because you can solve problems. That's great. They're going to solve problems different than a Virgo solves problems, which is Earth. Aries is actually, I'm not sure problem solver is the right word. I think of initiatory energy, and of course, Aries, god of war, Mars, can be aggressive.
Or assertive.
Assertive, right. Absolutely.
And I think as we move into the week, we'll still have that Pluto. Pluto does come into a trine with Jupiter. Is that what that? Yeah, that's Jupiter. Jupiter's going to start approaching a trine with Pluto, which I think that's going to start bringing in gifts to those changes that you've been thinking about that have been, working towards you, or maybe you're going to start seeing how that can be a gift, how cooperation can be better than competition, for instance, because that's about the collective, and that's very much what's happening in the collective these days. A lot of people are moving away from the capitalist competition type of business model into more of a cooperative business model where people cooperate and help each other out.
Yeah. And I'm just realizing that Mars has, of course, entered its home sign. So Neptune and Mars are both in their residence, if you will.
When did it do that? Oh, early in the week, huh?
Earlier in the week.
Monday.
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, passed into its home sign. So that's the other energy that is going to be strong because it's going to be in its rulership. And so Mars back in Aries is like, rock and roll. Let's go.
Forward.
How come this isn't already done? Let's get it done, Because, it's that go to it, go get it, and just do it energy.
Yeah. And with Pluto retrograde, you might just be ready to make the changes so you stop procrastinating or whatever it is.
There you go.
That's been going on for you.
I like that.
Yeah. So
there you have it. Another powerful week. We're starting to be released from the eclipse energy, although most of us would agree that the eclipse energy kind of like a pebble in a pond. It just keeps going and going and going and going and going. Yeah. Till the next time.
And I think every astrologer said that April was going to be a really intense month, but now we're in May and Pluto's going backwards and Venus has moved into Taurus and Mars has moved into Aries. So those are both in their rulership.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of strong energy. I can see a lot of things about money and action and new ideas and also change and transition and your relationship with power and control and the collective.
Yeah. And it feels like the fall, October, November is going to heat up again in terms of intensity and all the rest of it. And of course, we'll have more eclipses in the fall. And, if you were in Aries or Libra, you're certainly the ones who felt it the most this last go round. and hopefully you felt it in a good way. I'd love to still see from people's comments, like, how did it impact you? Was one easier than the other? Was one harder than the other?
Was it just emotional? Was it physical? Was it, for me, it was physical. I had a lot of physical things going on. I experienced burning mouth, and then I also experienced great health, where I was able to walk a lot more than I usually could and stuff like that. So, and the doctor's like, yeah, you're good, and so that's great. But at the same time, I was also experiencing some things around my hormones. So, yeah, so the mine's been very physical, but Aries rules my house of health. So where did your eclipse go?
Yeah, I would love to hear how that went for you. And of course, we're hoping that as we go through this, that it helps you understand the weather and how to flow with it, how to surf up and ride the wave that astrology can be. And mostly, we hope you have a great week. And what do the cards have to say this week?
All right. Well, I got us a little shuffle here. And these cards, I'm just going to pull 3 cards from this Pride deck. It's a Love is Love deck. You can get it online. Each card is done by a different LGBTQ artist. And so the first card is in relation to our history, to what we have come through. And this is the Ace of Pentacles. This is about having all your resources in hand, having all your needs met, Taurus, having all your needs met, and really feeling having all your needs met and having all of your resources and everything you need. That's really what this is about. This is a reminder of everything you do have. Maybe you should be grateful for it, and how that's blessed relationships for you, and how that's brought you together with someone you love or care about. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. It could be like business relationship or friendships, or any other kind of relationship. It could even be like, family member or something like that. Where you feel closer and committed to each other, especially emotional commitments. Even if it's like, hey sis, I'll always be there for you. That's an emotional commitment. Okay. And that's what this is a reminder of. This is a reminder of how our resources have made us more available, maybe for those we love. And going forward, this is about sending out your wishes, putting out your wishes, or sort of like manifesting your wishes. So your visions. The wands are very much about like setting intentions and things like that. So this is the Knight of Wands, and you can see that he's got quite an interesting sort of or they have quite an interesting outfit on. They're on a horse, and they have their wand in hand, and they have feathers, and they have interesting designs. They have a deer that you can clearly see. There's a castle in the background with a rainbow. This is very much about your intentions and your visions, your dreams going forward. This is meant to remind you of what they are, and that you have already have everything you need in check. You have all of your needs met. So that's great. And you even have great emotionally committed relationships, and remember those and be grateful for them. And being grateful for those things that you do have is how you're going to move forward into your dreams and visions going forward, and manifesting the other things that you do want or need. And that's exactly what this is about being grateful for the beautiful things that you do have in your life, so that when you're working on manifesting future things, that I'm not the only one that says that. Bright Hawk says it. Lots of people say it. Lots of spiritual people say gratitude, an attitude of gratitude is exactly what's going to bring you more of what you want. Right? Okay. So if you want, if you're have dreams and visions of things and staying positive, that's how you're going to get there faster. If you're complaining and bitching and moaning, and sometimes I think you just need to get that bitching and moaning out real quick, and maybe that's where you're at, and you just let that come out and then move on. Then start getting but yeah, that all sucks, but I am grateful I have, this or that. I have plenty of food to eat, and I have a safe home, and I have a great dog, and whatever it is, okay? And you can find gratitude for all kinds of things. I'm grateful I can walk. I'm grateful I can talk. I'm grateful I can be heard. I'm grateful I can hear myself. I'm grateful I can touch a tree, okay? I'm grateful there are trees. I'm grateful there is clean air to breathe. Well, mostly clean air. And so, those are the kinds of things you can find gratitude, and you'll shift your attitude from that shitty, crappy feeling to a better attitude, and then you'll bring more great things to you. It does work. There is a shift. I assure you, I have lived it personally. When I was in my 20s, all I did was bitch and moan and groan. Okay. And I never was grateful for anything. No one ever taught me to be grateful. And I just slowly learned to be more and more grateful over time. And as I started into my Saturn returns and really grasped what it meant to be grateful, then I really started to see major changes happen in my life. Big, beautiful gifts started to happen. Things I never even dreamed were possible began to happen. And that is the gift of gratitude.
For sure. Absolutely. Count your blessings and you'll have more blessings to count. Count your problems and you'll also have more problems to count. So I'd rather count blessings than problems, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, we wish you all the very best. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology. Hope you can share, like, comment. We'd love to know how your week is going. We wish you all the very best. And at Rainbow Soulstrology, we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.
Bye-bye.
Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to this week's Soulstrology and subscribing, liking, sharing, and reviewing. We hope you enjoy this dose of Soulstrology and encourage you to embrace the week ahead with an open mind and heart so that you may integrate the deepest of lessons from the stars. Take a moment to step outside and honor the planets, stars, and moon in the sky with your heart. Integrate the messages that resonate and leave the rest for someone else. We deeply appreciate each and every one of you. Always remember that you are a perfectly unique human with an exclusive star map of your destiny, your soul purpose, and your heart's desire. Thank you again for tuning in to Rainbow Soul.